Okay, so I tried to recreate the same kind of sound that was on that song that you wanted to know about, and I figured I would go in and break it down so you have an idea of how a sound like this kind of comes together. So here's the original. You already know it though. Cool. And then here's the one that I made to make sure that you like it. I might turn the saw down a little bit, but yeah, so there is really, in this version, there's 4 different sounds. It kind of sounded like you had like a choir thing going on in there, so I put one in, but the sounds I have here are a bass, which is like the saw wave little pad thing itself, the choir, which is Atmosphere 2, and then just like a little arp. And so I'll go through all of these and show you how I made them. So the bass, I used Harmer, which should be an FL actually, so you're probably pretty familiar with it. I'll actually probably just recreate it here for you real quick. Yeah, let's just go ahead and do that actually. It's, go ahead and delete that. Basically, this is the default patch. I just took this and made it a sine wave, like so. Oop. So we have just sub bass, and then I brought it back so that we're mixing a sine and a saw. So we have that, and then I put on some distortion. Actually, a lot of distortion, but. And I think that's really it. So that's all that I did for that. It's pretty. It's not too much going on there. The saw, I don't want to recreate because I messed around with it for quite a few minutes, but there's 3 things going on here. There's reverb, just an EQ, which is cutting out the low so that our initial patch could go through, and then a little bit of boosting on the high, just for the brightness. And then it's serum, and it's 2 oscillators, one that's pretty detuned, and then one that's just centered. And then, I mean, that's it as far as that goes. I didn't mess with any envelopes effects. I just have a compressor doing multi-band compression, and then that's all that's going on here. I think this is like the default, and I just brought the threshold down a little bit so it starts out something like that. And I just brought it down a little bit more. That's it. You could probably mess around with stereo width if you want to, but for this I didn't care because of the next patch, which is that choir, which is already really stereo in this case. And again, I use Atmosphere. It is just a preset. You could do it. There's a lot of good stuff in the contact libraries. Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff. You could do samples. Yeah, but it's just a choir sample with a little bit of EQ and a lot of EQ actually. Well, you can hear the difference here. So I just thinned it out and then and boosted the high end quite a bit. And then the ARP is literally, I think it's just like it's a little plucky, just single patch with a tight envelope. These are some Ableton effects, but you can do the same thing in FL. This is just an arpeggiator, so all it's doing is just taking that or arpeggiator. There we go, arpeggiator. It's just taking this chord, which is the same one that the saw is using, and then it's just making it go down in a line. So you could go in and then mark these out individually like that if you wanted to in FL. I don't know if FL has anything like that built in, but just does that. And then in this one, the arpeggio kind of just bounces left to right. I used AutoPan and Ableton for that, but you could also just go in and, I think it's in the FL mixer, and just automate the left and right to move up and down. Like that's one thing you could do. But if you hear it here, it kind of bounces between your ears, so I just did the same thing with this. And my sound isn't exactly like that one. I wasn't too worried about that, and just some reverb. And then all together, this is what it comes out to sound like. And what I was talking about for the reverb and for the effect is you can see on his track here, it just cuts to complete silence. But if I was to let this run through here and just stop it, there's that long kind of tail thing from the reverb on the arpeggio and on the saw. And so like how you get around that is you could go in theory and automate on and off all of the reverbs. If you have like a bunch of different ones, that's a pain. If they're all on a send channel, that's super easy, but not everybody likes to do that. So you could freeze everything to audio, and then you could just cut the tails where you want them. So what I mean by that is we could go in here and I don't know if I can do these all at once. Let's see. Nice, good job, Ableton. Freeze them and then flatten them, and then it just turns it into audio. And then now we can see the tail here from the reverb. Oh, I guess not on that sub channel. On this one's a good example. And you can just get rid of it. And the nice thing about that is that you can is that it's technically dry now. So if I was to like take this and cut it up, the sections where there's no audio, it'll just stop completely. There's no echo from the reverb or anything, which is cool. So that's good for if you want to do this like I don't want to say like Porter Robinson-y kind of stuff, but if you want to do that kind of style, you could go in and let's find like a something here. Sure. No. Sample selection is important too. Find stuff that you like. Yeah, sure. Let's go with that. And then the cool thing about it being audio is that you could just go in and you can do sidechain. That's one way to do this effect. I don't know if you're familiar with sidechain yet, but the nice thing about working with audio is that you could just go in and decide really for yourself what you want to do with it. I'm not sure why my fades aren't working here. That's a mystery. Huh. That's kind of weird. Oh, there they are. Okay, whatever. And you can go in and like fade the audio to do that effect where it's just the kick and then it comes in really really hard. Or again, since you already have the reverb frozen, you could just cut it. Oh, it's gonna be too fast. Let's get the tempo figured out here real quick. Well, let's do sidechaining. Why? I might as well. Where's my stuff? There we go. So there's 1,000 different ways to do sidechain. I like to use clicks. Totally a preference. Sorry, this video is long, kind of boring. I am not interested in editing anything. So, ta-da. Okay. Great. Okay. So we could go into our new saw channel here. Compressor. Route from 6 audio. So that's one way to do it. Or you could go in and cut it up the way that I was originally going to do it. Depends on how you want it to sound. So like for example, I want it to be snappy. So that would be fine. Maybe that might be a little too late. Cool. So something like that. And then we'll sidechain the rest of this. We're getting off topic. Sorry. And this stuff is all usually really, really heavily sidechained. Yeah, so like, that's a pretty good example. And then we could put like reverb over the top of this if we wanted, just like a little light one to kind of fill out the space. There's a lot you can do. Like, really, there's a lot. Maybe we want like a clap instead, actually. That's kind of cool. I maybe want that to be a layer and not the main thing, though. All right, we're gonna wrap this up pretty quick here, actually. Fine. Group those, reverb. Yeah. And then with the sub, maybe we want it to do like an eighth note thing. Audio's nice. Nice. Move everything over. Put some cymbals and then we're done. We're done. Let's do this real quick. Okay. Let's not do a crash because we want it to be loopable. Let's just use a loop for the sake of time. Cool. Toms. That's nice. Let's just use that and then repitch it down. Do 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 do. Just could be better, but cool. double that speed. Yep. Cool. What am I struggling with? Why? There we go. Loop. And then you can mess around with like fills and stuff like that. Cut everything out. Except like the bass. And the ride. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna stop it. If you want to watch it, it's 30 minutes long. Sorry. Yeah.